This is Brooke Creech, and I'm doing my receiving project for Introduction to Logistics. So I decided to do mine on a Nintendo Switch because I use mine all the time for my leisure time. And it's also a very popular item, which means that there's a higher demand. And I remember when it first came out, a lot of people were complaining about how long it was going to take for it to get to the doors. And I think that this will help people understand what all goes behind getting items from point A to point B. So the first thing that happens is scheduling the delivery vehicles. And what happens here is that the employees of Nintendo have to sit there and check the number of units that they're expecting, and then you sit there and decide what vehicles they're going to sit there and have to get the products to their warehouses, because there's so many restrictions. Like, for example, then you consider the weight and the volume that the trucks can hold. And not only that, but also things that they're into consideration of the vehicles themselves, the routes, and the delivery history of the company they plan on using for deliveries. And they also want to make sure that based on those requirements that they can also meet the customer's demand when they're scheduling. And besides the scheduling, Nintendo also has to make sure that they have space for the vehicles to be unloaded in a timely manner. And this means that they need to have a plan of where everything needs to go once received, and make sure that they have enough people to do it efficiently. So when it comes to unloading from the delivery vehicles, the company, Nintendo, needs to sit there and have a appointment scheduled for the drivers, and so that way everyone is aware of when the switches are expected to arrive. And after that is handled, the employees can get prepared to unload, which can include the equipment like forklifts, or also the number of people helping, which would be the manual labor doing it by hand. And after the vehicles are unloaded, the switches are being moved to staging, which is a temporary storage to help employees organize what needs to be moved to long-lasting storage and what can be headed to to be processed into the outbound stage area. So after everything's unloaded, the switches need to be checked in terms of how many there are that are received in the trucks, making sure that it lines up with how many was ordered, and also need to make sure the quality, making sure that nothing was tampered or damaged in the process of getting it there. And if there is any damages, actions must be taken either by having repairs done, or if something is not, if it's pretty much no good, they'll just sit there and remanufacture the parts that are able to be used to remanufacture. So once all that is done, they need to enter the data into the inventory system, and that is done by scanning a barcode that provides all the information about it, and the employees will have to put more details about the shipments themselves on. And once that is done, the system will automatically update the new look of the inventory. So the next step is safeguarding and labeling. And when it comes to the switches, there needs to be a very, very, very strategic process that requires a lot of measures to prevent theft and damage, because it's such a high and value product. And so one of the things that Nintendo does, they put colored shrink wrap on over the pallets with the switches, and they'll also lock them into the spaces of the warehouses that are restricted. And with the labeling, the switches will be barcoded that will be specific to the warehouse to help keep track of the products. So another thing that Nintendo does is they use the just-in-time method, which is used to estimate how much product is needed based on the demand. And they want to make sure that if there is another order, the company already has it ready to ship. And cross-docking is used when an item is in such high demand. After the item is unloaded at the receiving, they can be sent straight to outbound pretty much right after they've been checked. And this will help allow more space in the warehouses, and as well help employees have less steps to get things out the door as well. So from this assignment, I have learned that there's a lot that goes on behind the receiving process, and I will sit there and say that is new to me, that with how many barcodes are used to make sure that everything is running smoothly in the receiving and warehousing process. It is also crazy about how many steps there are in the process and how quickly these products are expected to be at the outbound end, given all the steps required for a safe and efficient shipment. Thank you for your time. Have a good night.